welcome back. It's Melanie, your She Shed Scrapper. So today we are going to be doing a 2-page layout using the Auburn Lane by Pink Paisley collection. So first off, that kind of scallop circle there that you see, I actually got that from my cousin's bridal shower, and this is a family picture from her wedding. So I've actually kept the kind of centerpiece from the bridal shower for almost 2 years now, I think it has been, because I knew I wanted to use that in the scrapbook layouts for her wedding. I believe we probably cut it out with the Cricut. I'm not 100% sure with that, but that would be my guess. And so yeah, it's just kind of a fun, neat memento from the bridal shower. So I'm happy that I got to incorporate that into it. And then that background paper there is from the 12 by 12 paper pad. It's kind of like a vintage newspaper, and it really just kind of fits her style like perfectly. She likes kind of the vintagey kind of things, so it just kind of matched the whole wedding theme and the bridal shower, and so I thought that would be a perfect fit. So then I used the washi tape from the Auburn Lane collection and just added a little accent down to the bottom right hand side. Once I placed that picture over it, I realized I wanted like one more. I wanted it a little bit higher, so I used that thick floral there and added that to it. And then it was time to kind of decide what paper to use to back the photo. So I went through these two 6x8 pads that I have here. They're both Auburn Lane, but they're different. One is for card making, and then the other is just, I guess, a regular 6x8 pad. One has 24 sheets and one has 36, I noticed while I was scrapbooking this layout. So a lot of the papers are the same. So I don't really know much. I can't really tell you what is different besides the number of papers. I think they were both $2.99 at Tuesday morning. I got one of them recently, and I thought it was completely different than what I had already bought at home, but it is quite similar to my surprise. So when picking out the background paper for the photo, or the backing paper, I knew I didn't want it too busy because that centerpiece there is quite busy itself, and I didn't want anything clashing. So I did end up going with this pink floral here, but with so many people in the picture's kind of busy in itself, and so is the floral paper. So I wanted something to break that up. So I went in my scrap stash and found an off-white piece. It wasn't, the correct size to back the entire photo, but I like how it breaks up the photo from the background paper, good enough. And I just thought it was kind of different than what I usually do. Usually I like everything perfect and straight, lined up, symmetrical and all that. But I do like how this turned out. So once I placed that there, I knew I just needed to embellish a little bit. So really, this first page of the 2-page layout did not take me too long. It was quite simple because that centerpiece takes up so much. I didn't want it to be too busy, elsewhere. So here I am going through the ephemera. The Auburn Lane collection is more aimed towards autumn, and so a lot of the things are kind of autumn themed. So that tag at the top, all gathered together, is probably in reference to Thanksgiving. However, since her wedding, I believe it was in September, was in the fall, it worked perfectly for, the family picture. So I saw that and really liked that, used that as my title. And then that's all I used out of that ephemera. But I also have the flower ephemera. There you can kind of see the two stickers. Those are the puffy stickers, and then the sticker sheets there. I didn't see anything I really liked, so this is when I grabbed the flower ephemera, I believe. So I have so much of this collection that it was just kind of going through everything, seeing what I wanted to use, what I thought would look good. So there's that like kind of floral, it's like in a curve there at the bottom of the picture I put it. Excuse me, I thought it just broke up that green because it was so bright. So I liked how that looked. And then just I found 3, I think, separate flowers, 4 maybe. One that has a stem there. And just added those around that tag at the top. Sometimes, to be quite honest, I struggle when I have so much of a collection and so many options. Sometimes I feel like it's easier for me when I don't have as much, you know, it's easier for me to figure out what I want to use and decide what I want to use. But when I have like so much, there's just so many options. It's kind of hard for me to decide on what I want to, you know, finish the layout with. So I just glued everything down, and I think with one of the flowers at the top, I use a foam sticker to give it some dimension. I think it's the 3rd one, the last one. And then really, once I get those all taped down, and then that bottom one that's kind of laying on the photo taped down, that finishes the first page of the layout. So I'm really happy with the way that layout turned out. Super simple, didn't take long at all, but I just really like that. So then it was deciding what paper to use for the second sheet of the layout, and I decided to go with that pink floral. It is the same paper that I backed the photo in, so just a way to kind of incorporate on a 2-page layout the same, just to kind of incorporate so they kind of go together. And so this picture, or this page is going to be all kind of selfies. Apparently at the reception I was the selfie queen, so I have a bunch of selfies to use on this layout. So getting them all cut down to size, I decided to kind of cluster them in the middle and kind of overlap them, kind of layer them a little bit, and then use the 6x8 paper pad and kind of do some paper layering behind the pictures. So I found this page here. It's a bunch of triangles and a bunch of the different pattern papers that are in the collection. Looking back at it now, it's more white than I would have liked. That vintagey newspaper background on the first page, you know, is more, I wouldn't even say off-white, but it's just muted. And so is like the floral paper on the centerpiece that I used. So it is kind of just more bright white than I would have liked. So what I did is I found the 6x8 piece of the vintage newspaper and did like a strip across and just kind of layered the papers. And then it was kind of seeing if I wanted to add any more of the papers or not. At that point, I didn't add any more. However, you'll see that I do grab the scraps of the centerpiece, and I am going to incorporate those into the layout. So I just thought it was fun. You know, I don't know if I'm going to ever use the centerpieces again. I think I have 2 or 3 more of them. So I don't know if I'll use them again. So I wanted to use as much of it just because it is kind of a cool thing, being that it was from her bridal shower. So I just kind of tape everything down like you see it there and place the centerpiece scraps to the top right and the bottom left. And then after that, it was kind of, I think it was time to decide what I wanted to back the papers in. And since I had both of the 6x8 papers, or paper pads, sorry, I wanted to choose something from one of those, but again, I didn't want it too busy because the rest of the page is quite busy itself, with that triangle paper and then the 2 pieces, the scraps of the centerpiece there. So I wanted to find something kind of plain, and you'll see me, I come back with a cream color paper, but it just really clashed with the triangle paper because, like I said before, it's more of a bright white than anything else in that triangle paper. So it just kind of clashed. So what I decided to do and use is this wood grain paper that you see there. And that ties in the tag from the first page into the second page using that paper. One thing I'm kind of bummed about, I really like this deep wood grain. And the size of the pictures, I wasn't able to get 2 pictures kind of matted on any of the papers. So I had a total of 3 of them, and I think that's all I had. So now I'm kind of bummed that I used them all up. I do have the scraps left over, but I unfortunately did use all of them. But that is, I kind of touched on it before. It is one way that I like to incorporate a 2-page layout is just by using, the same collections and the same papers on the first page and the second page. Sometimes I will kind of mirror the layout and incorporate it that way, or kind of have the same strip of paper all the way across the 2-page layout. Just some of the different options or different ways that I do a 2-page layout. There's obviously many more options, ideas, but those are some of my top ones that I like to incorporate. So once this is all layered, it's again just going back to all of the different pieces of the collection. I have the ephemera, the washi, the stickers. So once that's all placed, I believe the next step is the washi tape that I placed. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, sorry. I should have cut some of this taping and everything out, because here I get the T-square out, the infamous T-square. Just with everything kind of up and down and straight, I just wanted to make sure everything was straight. You can kind of tell, like when there's a 6x8 paper right there and then a picture on it, you can kind of tell, I feel like, when it's not completely straight. Might be the perfectionist in me coming out, but I just wanted to use the T-square, make sure everything lined up. But this washi tape in this collection is just really pretty. I find that I like to collect the washi tape for collections, and then I don't tend to use it a lot. So that was one thing I knew I wanted to do with this collection, is incorporate it somehow. Excuse me. So I grabbed the that maroon kind of diamond washi and put that down, and then I kind of layered a couple other ones on top of it as well. There's that gold that I used in the first sheet that I end up using on top of the maroon there, and you can't really see it. There's like diamonds, gold diamonds in that maroon washi there, and so the gold, solid gold washi that came with it just looks really good next to it. It brings out the gold in the maroon washi. And then there's this light pink floral. Again, it is my cousin to the, I don't know, it is like perfect. This is totally the flowers that she would love. So this collection really fit her wedding and her style perfectly. So I had the washi down at the bottom, and I didn't like how stark of a contrast that vintagey newspaper paper looked against the background paper. So I used the same washi tape at the top to kind of blend that in. So I did struggle there a little bit. So I used that maroon, and then I did the gold underneath instead of on top. So just to kind of keep it, I don't know, the same, I guess. So to me, that's just how I did it this time. I'm sure there's other times that I don't do it that way, that I do the same kind of layering at the bottom on the top. Hopefully that makes sense. But I was really happy to use the washi tape for this collection. And then once that's done, it's just kind of accenting using ephemera pieces. I think I grabbed the floral ephemera and kind of mess around, see what I think looks best with that. And then I know that I have in the past, for a different layout, fussy cut one of the papers, and I apologize, I don't know what I'm doing right here. I should have cut this out, so sorry about that. But I fussy cut some of the paper floral paper in the past. So I had scraps of that, and so I do end up fussy cutting a flower from one of the papers in the collection. And I think right here I'm looking for any phrases or anything that I think are appropriate. That kind of middle on the right side, on the vintage newspaper paper, it just kind of looked plain. So I'm looking for any of the cut aparts right here to see if there were any phrases that I thought were appropriate. That love at the top, I absolutely love that. But again, it's stark white, and on that newspaper, it would clash, I think. So I didn't use that. Even though I really like it. Sorry for that awkward pause. And then, so here's where I kind of mess around with the floral ephemera. That one's just so large. It just kind of it was overpowering. So then I just kind of searched for some of the smaller ephemera pieces. And really, once I kind of find what pieces I want, it didn't take long to, finish out the layout. And that white floral piece there, I end up not using that because again, it's kind of more white than anything. So I keep messing around with the options, and then that's when I realized I had that floral paper to fussy cut. So that is what I end up finishing that cluster with. So at least, hey, you get to see pretty much all the floral ephemera in the Auburn Lane collection here, because I feel like I tried out most of them on this 2-page layout. So there's that floral paper that I fussy cut. I think you can see it there. I think that was after I fussy cut it. So it's very light. It's like a blush pink almost, mauve pink. So I use that maroon one, and then I do pop up the kind of yellowish off-white one at the top. I use a foam sticker for that one. Again, just to give it some dimension and kind of layering. And then I did add that leaf there just to give it kind of a, kind of spread out the ephemera cluster there. So if you watch any of the other ones, I love how everyone layers their flowers, and it's one thing that I'm trying to get better at. For whatever reason, I struggle with the layering of the flowers. Like, I want to use a bunch of them in a cluster, and I just can't seem to figure it out, to be honest. It's like I almost get to 3, and then I don't know, I can't do any more. Like, my brain, I feel like it almost shuts down. I just don't know kind of what more to add. But that's why I keep practicing, keep scrapbooking, figure it out. So here's a puffy sticker which says beautiful, and then there's a puffy heart there. And honestly, I think that finishes out the layout. There will be close-ups coming up, and I appreciate you guys watching. I would love if you would click that subscribe button and like and comment my photos, and we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.